Hi, welcome to Bio 100, Fundamentals of Biology. My name is Wendy Rapazzo, and I'm your instructor for this course. I wanted to take a few minutes and introduce myself to you and give you a real quick overview about the course. You can learn more about me in the instructor information portion of Blackboard, and also make sure you read your entire course syllabus for complete course details. Just a little background about myself. I've actually been at Hartford Community College for 30 years. It sounds so long when I say that. I never thought I'd be here this long. I have two master's degrees. I have an MS in exercise physiology from the University of Delaware, and I have an MS in cell and molecular biology from Towson. I mainly teach our A&P courses, and there's a prereq course called Bio 119, but I really like teaching this non-majors bio course to all of you. I really hope to increase your knowledge about biology. It's the study of life, and it affects us every single day. So if you have any questions during the course, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can email me, you can text me through the Remind app, and we can always schedule a one-on-one through Zoom. So I really hope you enjoy the course and you increase your knowledge about yourself and the world around you. So let's talk a little bit about the course now. Well, let's begin with a quick overview about this course, and make sure you carefully read your entire course syllabus because this is just an overview of the highlights. So this is the regular 15-week course taught in 5 weeks. So it is a lot of work, and you need to make sure that you set time aside for it every day. The course is organized into 5 units, and notice each unit has a deadline. You must complete all unit work by the deadline. However, you can finish earlier. So for example, you could finish this course in 4 rather than 5 weeks if you wish to. As far as communication, there's a couple ways to do that. You can always email me, and my email's right up here. Or I have this Remind app, which is a way for us to text each other without sharing phone numbers, so you can use that. And I will also post reminders that way. I recommend you get the Blackboard Student app. You can use it to access course material, and make sure you enable notifications so that when I update information each week, you'll always make sure that you see it. The book is free, so that's great. There's a link to it online. I also link to it inside each weekly or each unit module. When you look in Blackboard, you'll see the course content, and it says online textbook. It's an OER book. If you want an actual copy of it, you can purchase it. It's fairly cheap. Any bio book will work though. What you really need to focus on is making sure that you're following these guided notes that I provide and these PowerPoints, and they're set up to mainly follow with the textbook, but your test information and your quiz information is going to come from these sources. So what you'll want to do is print them, at least the guided notes, and then as you go through the book and the PowerPoint, make sure that you fill those out for all the content. Notice I also have some online animations and tutorials, and I recommend that you check these out too because I think they'll help you understand some of the content. You will need to access something called Explore Learning for Labs. This is paid for by Hartford Community College. And so you have to email or text me to get your login information. And then I'll send you a little picture that looks like this. It'll have your name. It'll show you how to log in. You can go -el.com to get to the website, or I also have a link in Blackboard where it says Explore Learning for Lab. Once you go there, you're going to make sure you click on Student Account, and you're going to log in with the name that was basically the information has your username and your password. So you'll enter your username and hit the little blue arrow. And then you're going to enter your password, which is here. You'll see that on the picture. And then once you enter your password, you'll see a little welcome sign, and you'll just click on Bio 100 Winter. And these are all what are called gizmos. Now I'll come back to this shortly, but make sure you get set up with this so you can get these done because you have to do them for most of the labs. When we're looking at the points for your class, actually let me back up, there we go. If we look at the grading requirements, it's all points as you can see. So you'll see your points in Blackboard and keep track of it because this is the breakdown of what you need to get your grade. We have 5 unit exams, we have quizzes, the lab assignments, most are the gizmos. There's a scavenger hunt, and there's discussion board. Now every unit has a discussion board post. You can see the information here. You do need to think about this. You need to write your first post by Wednesday of each unit. So every week by Wednesday, 11:59 p.m., you must post your first response. Then by Sunday, you go back and reply to 2 classmates. These are 8 points each. Notice they're 40 points for your grade. And when you reply, just, give a thoughtful response. You can point out maybe something you agree with, or maybe there's something you don't agree with. That's fine, but be civil. Notice I am grading grammar and spelling. I am also making sure you answer all the questions. You'll see the discussion will have a list of questions to make sure you answer. Often you need to cite your source. So make sure you include a link to your source and answer the information and write in complete sentences. I will talk about exams and quizzes shortly. When you look at the course schedule, you can see an overview of what's due and when. And so if you look at the schedule, notice I do always have the first post is due by the Wednesday of the unit, and then you have to finish it by the end of the unit. Also note there is a refund deadline, so as I go over this and you look at the course, if it looks like it's too much than what you wanted to do over the next 5 weeks, then you should withdraw by the 20th and you'll get your money back. If you wait until after the 20th, you can withdraw, but you won't get your money back. And so you can see the discussions, you can see I kind of put the labs as purple, the quizzes, and you can kind of see it's hopefully color coordinated to help you follow all the content. As far as this biodiversity scavenger hunt, it is 30 points. This is due by Saturday, June 20th. Now, when I went over the course with you, the course officially begins December 18th, but it's open now. You can go ahead and start working on stuff as I update. The official deadline is Saturday the 20th, but I will give you until Sunday the 21st. So actually this down here should say, I just caught that, Sunday. Apologize for it. Sunday, January 21st. It's recommended to be done, but I'll give you that extra day because I know it's a lot. However, I need you to do that biodiversity assignment. That is due Saturday because those take a long time for me to grade. So when you go in the course, you'll see some information. There's a background. The instructions are very clear, and there's some sample submissions, and this is how you submit it. This is the link, and then some online tools. So what you're doing is you're creating a PowerPoint, and you're doing a scavenger hunt of all the different living organisms around us. And so this is the format. Notice that you'll have an image, and you'll explain any terminology. You're going to give it scientific name, where you found it, and one interesting fact, and this is a sample produced. So I would work on it every week. You have to have 30 entries, so maybe just do a few a week. This is everything around us, and the instructions are actually going to give you a whole list of different organisms to find. So this is actually a piece of the directions that are posted for you to read on your own, but you can see it goes over, you need to have 30, you get extra points if you do more. It goes over the format, which I just showed you. We do this in PowerPoint, and then you have a whole list. So I would recommend you just go through, pick a couple from each. If you're more interested in plants, do more plants. There's lots of different animals. Notice sometimes you can do more than one per group, but go ahead and then your favorite animal you can enter there. So you would just pick items, make notes, and then you would go ahead and create your PowerPoint as you work through this. And if you have some extra time, maybe you just get it all done so you don't have to worry about it as you're working through all the course materials. When we look at the course, it's pretty much set up the same way. You'll go through the course content and it says course unit modules. So every course, it's set up as a module. You can go in and see the units. Now, right now I'm not finished with them, so some of them are hidden, but as soon as I get them updated, they'll show up. There's your biodiversity scavenger hunt link. I just showed you that content. You're going to jump into the unit. Every unit is set up the same way. It has objectives and a checklist to help you keep track. The guided notes are the chapter outlines. Print these or download them. This is what you take notes on. You use these notes on your quizzes and exams. So yes, you may use your notes. You cannot Google, but you can use your notes. I have PowerPoints you can use. There's also going to be occasional online lectures, but I also link to a lot of really good online lectures that will help you understand the content. every week, every unit, you have several lab assignments. Most are those gizmos, which I just showed you. And when you do those lab assignments, you actually get 2 attempts on those, and I take the highest grade. So you don't have to do both if you're happy with your grade, but you do get 2 tries. We mentioned the discussion post. There's always practice quizzes. You should do them before you take the graded quiz or the unit exam. The more practice you have, the better you'll gauge your learning. Also, sometimes you see the questions on that. The quizzes are timed at 10 minutes each, and the exams are timed at 90 minutes each. And if you go over it, every minute over, you will lose 1 point off of your score. And the quizzes are multiple choice, true, false. The exams will have multiple choice, true, false. Usually I have some matching and some short answer essay questions for those exams as well. And so you can prepare by doing the practice quizzes and rewriting your notes as you work through the material. When you go into a unit, so this one I opened up unit 1, there's your objectives. You always have a checklist, so I recommend you use that. There's your discussion. Remember, you have to post something by Wednesday and then your final post by Sunday. And then it's organized by chapters. And if you were to scroll down, you would see the different quizzes each week. Make sure you do the reading, you write your notes, and you do the lab before you take the graded quiz. So when you go in each chapter, notice you will see a link to that chapter in the book, a direct link to the book. Here's your guided notes. Here's the PowerPoint. These are the animations, lectures, tutorials that might be helpful. Sometimes I have activities to help, sometimes I don't. There's your lab. We'll talk about the lab in just a minute, and your practice quiz. So they're all set up in the same format, and this is just a sample. The notes are designed to be filled in as you read the content and to kind of help you make sense of everything as you go through the content. Now, when you're doing the lab, so if you were to click on the lab, and sometimes you'll have more than 1 lab per chapter, but you'll just go ahead and click on the folder, and then it usually looks like this in your view. So you usually can see a table of contents that you can kind of jump to, or you can use the little arrow. So I'm in here on lab 1. You have your objectives for the lab, and then if you were to click the arrow, you would actually come to the instructions for the lab. And notice this is using the gizmo from Explore Learning. Here's the file right here in blue. So this is what you must download, or you'll have no idea what to do when you open up that gizmo. Click the worksheet. That's what's going to tell you what to do. Then go into the Explore Learning module, and you'll find the Growing Plants gizmo, and you will hit the launch button, and you will use the worksheet and follow the directions and answer all the questions on that. Once you finish the lab and you filled out the worksheet, then you're going to take the assessment. So again, once you click and you look at the file, this is the worksheet. So it tells you exactly what to do as you work through the gizmo. It usually has a place for you to take notes because you're going to use these notes when you do the assessment. This is what the Explore Learning looks like. So you would go in and you would find Growing Plants and you would hit launch. And then when you hit that, you would go into the lab. So I'll show you what that looks like. So I'm actually in the Explore Learning site. You can see all the different gizmos. We hit the launch button. And when I hit the launch button, I have a lab. So, there's some instructions here, but I wouldn't really know exactly what to do if I didn't have that worksheet. And so basically you can set up different pots with different seeds. You can do fertilizer to some, compost. You can figure out water, and it's just a little experiment you can do on growing plants. And again, you'll fill out that worksheet as you go through the lab, and it will tell you exactly what to do. Once you finish the lab, then you're going to want to take the assessment. So when you're in Blackboard, again, you have your directions here for the actual lab. And then what you'll be doing is, I call it the lab homework or lab assessment. And so what it is it's set up like a little quiz. It says graded assessment. And when you're ready to start it, you just hit begin and you use your worksheet to do it. So you use that, and that's how you get your grade for your lab. So what does that look like? I'm back in the course. Here's my biodiversity scavenger hunt. Right now you see Unit 1. You will see the rest of the units as soon as I update them. We see the overview of Unit 1. There's your checklist, the link to your discussion. Notice you have your chapters and your quizzes. And then at the end is the unit exam. Now, when you're taking your quiz, don't start it until you're ready to do it. So you can click on it, it tells you, but once you hit begin, your timer starts. So make sure that when you do this, you're ready to go. And then as you answer the questions, you'll save your answers. And when you're done, you'll save and submit for your quiz. Well, the lab is set up the same way. So I will go into chapter 1. And this is what I just showed you. You can scroll through, or you can go over here and use your table of contents. So notice it says Lab 1. There's the objectives. I do have a little video for you to watch first. These are the instructions that I showed you already. And then you'll notice it says Lab 1 graded assignment. And when I click on that, it's set up just like a quiz. Now this does not have a time limit. So when you go into this, there's some questions from the lab. And then you'll go in, and if you have to write, make sure you write in a complete sentence. A sentence starts with a capital letter and ends with punctuation. And an example, you'll write a hypothesis. And a hypothesis should be very short and clear. You can also use if-then statements to help you when you write your hypothesis. And so that's how you're going to get your grade as you go through each lab. And at the end, make sure you save and submit, and you get 2 attempts on these. Some labs do not use gizmos, and they will have all instructions for what you need to do, so just carefully read those. So I've gone over a lot. Here's a sample. This is your checklist. So how are you going to survive the next 5 weeks? Because we do meet over the holidays. We have due dates every Sunday. Use your checklist. Do everything in the order on the checklist. Don't jump around. It's set up this way on purpose. Quiz 1, you have to do the labs and the reading to be successful on the quiz. So do the work in the order. Read, fill out the notes, rewrite the notes, watch what I've posted. Do your lab assignments. Take the practice quizzes before you do the graded quiz. Make sure you get your discussions done. And then at the very end, you're going to do your unit exam. And that's timed at 90 minutes. And you'll have this every single week. And some weeks, you're going to have several labs. If you look at the schedule, notice you have 1, 2, 3 labs before you take your first quiz, because this is the 15-week course. So it is a lot. Make sure you set it up so that you do a little bit every day. If you're pretty good with bio, you could probably sit down and knock it out pretty quick. So, what's next? Make sure you go through the Start Here module in Blackboard. Make sure you get in touch with me, get that Explore Learning account set up. You have several labs due this week. Use your book, purchase, download, make sure you have some sort of resource. Go over the syllabus. There is an extra credit quiz posted. This is all points, so those points can help you. It's in the Start Here module. Get your introduction in by Wednesday and reply to classmates by Sunday. If you want to communicate through Remind, go ahead and sign up for that. Start the biodiversity project. Get your PowerPoint set up and get a few slides in. Use your checklist, and then everything is due by Sunday, December 24th at 11:59 p.m. And so when you go in Blackboard, go right up here to the Start Here module first. Go through this. It has all the information for the course. There's the extra credit quiz for you as well. And take some time to play around inside the course so you understand how it's set up and what's expected for you over the next 5 weeks. So I look forward to teaching you, and I hope you enjoy the course.